My ex-husband's secret life ruined us all. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. The night I learned my ex-husband had a secret life, I was at the kitchen sink, scraping cereal from a bowl while my daughter asked why Dad's meetings happened after midnight. His phone lit up on the counter. New message from Leo Jim. He never went to the gym. He collected excuses like trophies. I shouldn't have looked. I looked anyway. Drop-off confirmed. Same place. Same amount. Do not bring her. Her. The word bit my tongue. I opened the thread and found months of texts that weren't romantic but coded. Quantities, times, color names, and emojis. Anchor, key, black moon. There were bank alerts too, routed to an email I didn't recognize, with round numbers bleeding from an account I'd never seen. I checked our savings. A hole stared back. By the time the garage door moaned, my hands had stopped shaking and begun to move. I copied the messages, photographed receipts he'd crumpled into tiny stars, and found the second phone hidden in the flower bin, powder snow on glass. He walked in humming, kissed my forehead. Long day, he said. You wouldn't believe the traffic. Who's Leo? I asked. Silence widened. His face twitched. Trainer, he said. You wanted me to be healthier. The lie was lazy. I held up the phone. The way he stared at it told me the same story the numbers had told. I didn't know the man I married. I wish the betrayal had been a neat word like cheating. It wasn't. The text kept saying, drop, shipment, don't bring her. Her wasn't me. I had a daughter sleeping down the hall and a mother who co-signed our mortgage. That night, I started a list. Dates, codes, places. I followed the map to a storage unit he'd rented under an alias. Inside were sealed boxes, spare license plates, and a ledger with our birthdays on the tabs. Next to my name was a single word, underlined twice. Collateral, the ledger said. Cold air pressed close around me. The lock turned, heavy and slow, and someone whispered, "You shouldn't be here." A breath brushed my ear, and a flashlight skated across taped boxes. I lifted the ledger as a shield. The man in the doorway wore a storage company jacket, but the patch was hand-stitched. He angled the beam to blind me. Closed after 9, he said. Did he send you? He. My ex lurked even here. I'm the leaseholder, I lied. His gaze found the tab with my name, collateral, and his jaw set. Put that back. He stepped closer. Guy you're tangled with pays on time. People who don't, pay other ways. What is this? I asked. What does drop mean? Who is she? He weighed me, then sighed. I lock doors. But I know a runner. He moves product for a crew that hates loose ends. She isn't a girlfriend. She is heat. Heat. Police. Journalists. Anyone asking questions. My mouth dried. Inside one box were prepaid SIMs, burner chargers, and the black cap from team building photos. Another held a child's shoebox with my daughter's initial in glitter. Inside were photocopies of her birth certificate and school schedule. My hands shook so hard the pages rattled. I'm calling the police, I said. Do it outside, he answered. This place records nothing. He walked me to the lot. Sodium lamps hummed. He kept 2 steps behind, silent. At my car he leaned in. Tell Leo you never found me. He owes. Everyone owes. I drove home on roads pulled too tight over the dark. Every taillight looked like a warning. From the corner, I saw our lit windows, ordinary life pretending. On the porch, an envelope waited under the mat. No stamp, no address. Inside, a photo of my husband shaking hands with my boss outside my office, date stamped last Thursday. On the back, a note curled like smoke. Stop digging. Next time, we won't knock. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. A text blinked on the lock screen. The words sliding over my reflection as if they were already inside the house. Now, bring the girl tomorrow, or your mother loses the house forever. I sat on the porch steps, the envelope trembling in my hands, the threat echoing louder than my heartbeat. Bring the girl tomorrow. My daughter. My little girl, who still slept with her stuffed rabbit and believed her father's business trips were real. I ran inside, bolted the door, and checked every lock twice. My mom stirred in her room, calling my name. Everything okay? She asked, voice thick with sleep. I forced a smile she couldn't see. Just the wind, Mom. Go back to bed. But I knew sleep had just abandoned me for good. At the kitchen table, I opened the ledger again, pages thick with codes. Under collateral, my name, my mother's, and my daughter's were listed. 3 dates followed, All in the past. Why were we still alive? A fourth date sat uncomfortably close. Tomorrow's date. Panic twisted into fury. He had used us as bargaining chips. My husband, the man I once trusted with vows, with a child, with my entire life, had sold us as if we were property. The burner phone buzzed. A voice rasped low and metallic. Tomorrow, noon. Park by the river. Bring her. Don't call police. The line cut dead. I clutched the counter until my knuckles whitened. Fear wanted to paralyze me, but something colder moved in. If they thought I'd hand over my daughter, they didn't know me. I dug through the ledger again and found another tab. Assets. Receipts stapled to notes, foreign currency, and photos. My ex-husband in hotels with men in tailored suits, briefcases between them. One man wore the same ring as our pastor. Another? My brother-in-law. It wasn't just betrayal. It was a network, and we were in the middle. Upstairs, my daughter turned in her sleep, whispering, "Daddy." I pressed my palm against the wall as if I could guard her through it. Tomorrow was already coming. But before dawn, someone tapped 3 times on the window, slow, deliberate, and far too familiar. My ex-husband's face appeared in the reflection, smirking like he never left. "Open up," he mouthed. "We need to talk." My lungs locked as his shadow leaned against the glass. That smirk, the same one that once charmed me into believing every lie, now made bow rise in my throat. I pulled the curtain closed with shaking fingers, praying he hadn't seen me. But then came 3 more taps. Louder. Confident. He wasn't going away. I slipped into the hallway, heart hammering so hard I thought it might wake the house. My mother's door was cracked. I pushed it shut gently. Upstairs, my daughter's soft snore was the only proof of innocence left in this place. I padded back to the kitchen, phone clutched in my hand, hovering over 911. Then his voice cut through the silence. "You called him. She pays the price." He knew me too well. He always did. Against every instinct, I opened the back door an inch. Cold night air rushed in, carrying his cologne. Woodsy, sharp, sickeningly familiar. He stepped closer, hands raised like he was harmless. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said. "But you need to listen. You're in way over your head." Over my head. My voice cracked. "You dragged us here. You." He pressed a finger to his lips. "Not now. They're watching. They've always been watching. You think I wanted this?" I wanted to scream, to hit him, to demand answers. But the weight of the envelope, the ledger, and the phone still pressed against my skin. "What do they want with our daughter?" His face hardened. "Insurance. They don't care about you. They care about leverage. And you." He trailed off, eyes darting to the dark street. "You shouldn't have gone to the unit. That wasn't meant for you." "Collateral," I whispered. "That's what you wrote. That's what we are to you." For the first time, his smile faltered. He leaned in so close his breath fogged the air between us. "You think this is about me?" he hissed. "This goes higher. Much higher. And if you don't do exactly what I say tomorrow." He pulled something from his coat pocket and slid it across the floor toward me. A hotel keycard, scratched and worn. "Room 614. Go tonight. Alone. Or you'll never see the truth. And you'll never see her again." Behind him, headlights flared in the street, too bright, too sudden. He melted into the shadows, leaving the keycard in the doorway, like a curse I couldn't refuse. I picked it up, hands trembling, as a single thought burned through my mind. What could possibly be waiting for me in room 614? The keycard felt heavier than metal, heavier than truth. I tucked it deep in my pocket and waited until the headlights outside dimmed, until the silence of the street settled again. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I should have called the police, but the image of that photo, my boss shaking hands with my ex, froze me. Who could I trust? By 2 a.m., I was behind the wheel, every streetlight painting guilt across my windshield. I parked 3 blocks from the hotel, a sterile high-rise that looked like any other. Too ordinary to hold something this monstrous. The lobby reeked of bleach and coffee. A night clerk barely glanced up, and I prayed the keycard would work. The elevator climbed slow, each ding a countdown. By the time I reached the 6th floor, my chest was tight, my legs heavy. Room 614 waited at the end of the hall, door chipped, brass numbers dull. I slid the card. A green light blinked, then the latch clicked. The room was dark except for the blue glow of a laptop screen on the desk. On the bed, 3 manila folders stacked neatly. Each had a name scrawled in thick black marker. Mine, my daughter's, my mother's, My knees nearly buckled. I opened mine first. Inside were surveillance photos. Me walking to the grocery store, me picking up my daughter from school, even me crying in my own car. Dates stretched back over a year. They'd been watching long before the divorce. My daughter's folder held her school drawings, pulled straight from our fridge. A tooth wrapped in tissue from under her pillow. My mother's folder contained copies of her prescriptions, even her doctor's notes. Nothing about us was private. The laptop pinged. An email loaded on the screen, already open as if waiting. The subject line read, "Final notice." The message was brief. "Deliver the girl tomorrow, or we erase the others." At the bottom was an attachment. I clicked. A video opened. My ex-husband sat in a chair, looking straight at the camera. His smile was gone, his eyes bloodshot. "If you're watching this," he said, voice ragged, "then they know. And they'll never let you walk away." Then the screen cut to black. Behind me, the door clicked shut. Someone else was in the room. The sound of the latch sliding home turned my veins to ice. I froze, folders clutched to my chest, as footsteps pressed into the carpet behind me. A shadow stretched long across the laptop glow. "Put those back," a voice murmured. "Mail. Calm. Too calm." I spun around. The man wore a dark suit. No tie, sleeves rolled high as if he had work to do. His face was forgettable, deliberately so. The kind of man you'd never notice in a crowd. He lifted his phone, recording me. "She took them," he said to whoever was listening. Exactly as predicted. My throat tightened. "Who are you?" He tilted his head, studying me like I was a lab specimen. "That depends. To your ex, I'm a handler. To you, I'm the man who decides whether your family breathes past sunrise." I forced my voice steady. "You don't scare me." He smirked. "Good. Fear makes people sloppy. You're going to be useful." He gestured at the folders. "Collateral, leverage, insurance. Whatever you want to call it, that's what you are. Your husband, ex-husband, signed the deal. He got money, protection, power. In return, we got you. All of you. Assets on paper, assets in flesh." I wanted to throw the folders at his face, to scream. Instead, I asked the only question that mattered. "Why my daughter?" He leaned in, voice low. "Because children don't lie. And in court, in media, in the right hands, her words can ruin empires. You'll see soon enough." He dropped a business card on the desk, blank except for a single word in embossed silver, Erebus. "Go home," he said, stepping back. "Get some sleep. Tomorrow's important. Noon at the river, remember?" His smile flickered like static. "Or we take everything. Quickly." He opened the door and slipped out, as silent as he'd arrived. I stood there, folders trembling in my hands, when the laptop pinged again. A new email blinked on the screen, this one from my boss. Subject line, "Meeting confirmed. 12 p.m. River Park." And beneath it, one chilling sentence. "Don't be late. She's already on the list." The words blurred on the screen as my pulse thundered in my ears. She's already on the list. My daughter. My sweet, innocent child. My boss was in on this too. Every safe place, every familiar face was crumbling into the same rotten truth. I was surrounded. I stuffed the folders into my bag, slammed the laptop shut, and bolted from the room. The hallway stretched long and empty, but I felt eyes in every peephole. By the time I reached the elevator, my hands were slick, my breath shallow. The ride down was torture. Each floor a chance for the doors to slide open and reveal another faceless man in a suit. The lobby clerk looked up this time. His smile was too polite, too knowing. "Good night, Mrs. Alvarez," he said. My maiden name. I hadn't used it in years. My legs nearly gave out, but I forced myself outside, into the bite of the night air. The streets were quiet, too quiet, until I noticed a dark sedan parked 2 cars behind mine. Engine running, headlights off. A silhouette in the driver's seat, waiting. I didn't go to my car. I kept walking, ducking into an alley, forcing myself to breathe. My phone buzzed, unknown number. Against reason, I answered. "You've seen enough," the voice said. Same calm, same menace as the man in the suit. "Tomorrow is not optional. Noon at the river. Bring the girl. Leave the papers." I gripped the phone hard enough to hurt. "If you touch her," the voice cut me off with a soft laugh. "Touch. She's the centerpiece. She's what makes it all work. Without her, there's no deal. Without her, you don't live long enough to regret it." The line went dead. I staggered against the brick wall while burning my throat. My daughter wasn't just leverage. They needed her for something bigger, something I didn't understand. When I finally reached home, the house looked too still. Inside, my mother sat at the table wide-eyed. "He was here," she whispered, pointing at the counter. Another envelope waited. I tore it open with shaking fingers. Inside was a photo of my daughter asleep in her bed, taken tonight. On the back, in jagged ink, "One mistake, and she disappears forever." I dropped the photo like it burned. My mother covered her mouth, trembling, while I paced the kitchen, rage colliding with terror. They had been inside the house. Inside, my daughter's bedroom, where she dreamed of nothing more dangerous than fairy tales. The air around me thickened, suffocating, as if their hands were already closing around her throat. "We can't stay here," I hissed. "Pack a bag." Quietly. My mother shook her head, fear hollowing her face. "If they can get in here, where is safe?" I didn't answer, because I knew the truth. Nowhere was safe. But I also knew surrender wasn't an option, not when the game was already rigged. Upstairs, I found my daughter curled around her stuffed rabbit, lashes damp from dreams I prayed hadn't been nightmares. I stroked her hair, whispering promises I wasn't sure I could keep. "I'll protect you. I'll burn the world down before I let them touch you." Downstairs, I spread the folders across the table. There had to be something I could use. Something that gave me leverage back. That's when I saw it. A receipt tucked inside my ex-husband's assets file. Payment for a safe deposit box at a downtown bank, under yet another alias. The date matched one of the drop texts. It wasn't much, but it was a thread. I made my plan in silence. At dawn, I'd take the keycard, the receipt, everything. I'd get into that deposit box and find out what he was hiding, what was worth selling out his family. If I had proof, real proof, maybe I could flip the script. Maybe I could even buy us time. But as I slid the folders back into my bag, my phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. A single message lit the screen. "We're closer than you think." Attached was a video. My daughter's room. Live. The stuffed rabbit in her arms, her chest rising and falling. Then, a gloved hand reached into the frame and gently brushed a strand of hair from her face. The video cut out. I staggered back, choking on air. They weren't warning me anymore. They were inside, watching, playing with us like dolls. And I realized then, tomorrow at the river wasn't just a handoff. It was a trap. Sleep was a luxury the night stole from me. I sat in the dark, knife clutched in my hand, ears straining for the creak of floorboards, for the whisper of gloved fingers on doorknobs. Every shadow threatened to become flesh. But the hours dragged on without another sound, leaving me poisoned with dread. By morning, I had made my decision. If tomorrow was a trap, then I wouldn't walk into it blind. The safe deposit box was my only chance to flip the board. I dropped my daughter at school myself, forcing a smile, telling her grandma would pick her up. The way she hugged me, too tight, too long, made me wonder if she sensed the storm closing in. Downtown, the bank's marble floor echoed under my boots. My fake calm felt fragile as glass. At the desk, I slid the receipt across. The clerk barely glanced at it before nodding. Minutes later, I was in the vault, the chill of steel doors pressing close. Box 713 slid free. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a black leather notebook, fat with pages, and a flash drive taped to the cover. I opened at random. Names, numbers, offshore accounts, coded entries. Politicians, lawyers, men I'd seen shaking hands with my husband at barbecues. My stomach twisted. This wasn't just about my ex's betrayal. This was a network, sprawling and diseased, and my family was currency. The flash drive pulsed in my palm like a heartbeat. I shoved it into my bag and closed the box, pulse pounding. As I left, I felt it, that prickling between the shoulder blades. Someone was watching. In the lobby, I caught him in the glass reflection, the man in the suit from room 614. He stood by the door, phone in hand, lips curved in a smile too small to be kind. He mouthed two words through the glass. Too late. Panic flared. I ran to the street, weaving through traffic, clutching the bag like it was oxygen. My phone buzzed again. Another message. I forced it open while dodging cars. A photo filled the screen. My daughter, leaving school. A man's hand, his hand, rested on her shoulder. The caption read, "You should have come straight to the river." My scream caught in my throat, strangled by traffic noise and the pounding of my own heart. The photo blurred as my vision swam, But there was no mistaking her pink backpack, the stuffed rabbit dangling from the zipper. They had her, or they wanted me to believe they did. I ran until my lungs tore fire through my chest, ducking into a side street. My fingers shook as I called my mother. She answered on the second ring, voice frantic. She's not here. The school said a man signed her out. Said he was family. My knees nearly gave. I slid down the brick wall, clutching the phone. Stay inside. Lock everything. Don't open the door for anyone. I'll fix this. I hung up and opened the latest text again. Straight to the river. It was never about choice. It was about obedience. The river park loomed gray and deserted under a sky swollen with rain. Noon. The clock on the church tower struck, each chime like a nail in my chest. At the far end of the path, a dark sedan idled, headlights dimmed. My legs moved on instinct, every step heavy, every breath tasting of fear and iron. The rear door opened before I reached it. A voice I hated and loved at once called out, "Get in." My ex-husband leaned across the seat, eyes bloodshot, skin pale. "Where is she?" I demanded. "She's fine," he said, tone flat. "Safer than you'll ever be if you don't listen." I wanted to claw the truth out of him, but then I saw her, my daughter, through the window. She was in the back seat, cheeks streaked with tears, clutching her rabbit like a lifeline. Alive. Breathing. "For now. Please," she whispered when our eyes met. "Mommy, come." My ex patted the seat beside him. "We're out of time. Get in, or you'll never see her again." The storm finally broke above us, rain pelting down in sheets. My clothes clung to my skin, but the real weight pressed deeper, an impossible choice crushing me from within. I stood at the open door, frozen between fury and fear, when a second car pulled into the lot. Sleek. Black. Windows tinted darker than night. The suited man from room 614 stepped out, umbrella in hand. His smile was thin, sharp, final. "You're late," he said. "And now, the rules change." The rain hammered harder, each drop like a countdown. My ex-husband's hand gripped my daughter's arm too tightly, while the suited man strolled toward us, umbrella tilting like a crown. His calm was more terrifying than any threat. Out of the car, he ordered my ex, "Both of you." My ex bristled, eyes flicking between me and the man. This wasn't the deal. The man chuckled. "Deals are for equals. You're a pawn who thinks he's a player." Lightning cracked overhead. My daughter whimpered, her rabbit soaked and limp in her hands. Every instinct screamed to grab her, to run, but the sedan boxed us in, and the black car idled behind, engine growling. The man in the suit turned his eyes on me. "You've seen the files. You know the stakes. Your family's safety depends on obedience. Hand over the drive." My stomach clenched. He knew. Somehow, he knew about the flash drive. I clutched my bag tighter. "I don't have it." His smirk sharpened. "Lies waste time. Time kills children." He snapped his fingers, and the driver of the black car stepped out, revealing a gun pressed casually against his thigh. My ex paled. "She has it," he spat, pointing at me. "I told you, she doesn't listen." My heart fractured. He'd sold me out, again, to save himself. The man in the suit didn't even look surprised. "Of course she has it. She's the only one in this family with teeth." He stepped closer, umbrella tapping the ground. "Here are the new rules. You give me the drive, and your daughter lives. You keep it, and we erase her from the ledger tonight. Choose." Thunder rolled like a verdict. My daughter's eyes locked on mine, wide with fear, but glimmering with something else, trust. She still believed I could save her. I reached slowly into my bag, fingers brushing the edge of the flash drive. My mind raced, screaming at me not to hand it over, but also whispering the unthinkable. Was one secret worth her life? Then, through the rain, a new sound split the air, sirens, distant but closing fast. Red and blue lights flickered on the horizon, growing brighter by the second. The suited man's calm cracked. For the first time, his smile faltered. "Who did you call?" My ex whirled on me, fury burning through panic. "What did you do?" The sirens wailed louder, and in that moment, I realized I wasn't the only one who wanted this truth exposed. Someone else had set this stage. The wail of sirens sliced through the downpour, echoing off the riverbank like a battle cry. Red and blue lights smeared across the wet pavement, closing in fast. My ex-husband's grip on our daughter tightened until she cried out, and I lunged forward instinctively. "Don't!" The suited man barked, his umbrella dropping to reveal a pistol gleaming in his hand. The driver by the black car raised his gun too. For a second, the world froze, my daughter's sobs, my ex's wild eyes, and the flashing lights bouncing closer and closer. Then my ex shoved the girl back into the car and hissed at me. "This is your fault. You never should have dug." His face twisted, panic erasing every trace of the man I once loved. He looked cornered, rabid, dangerous. The suited man didn't flinch. He stepped into the storm, rain plastering his hair to his skull. "Change of plan," he said smoothly. "We take them both. Mother and daughter. The drive stays." "You'll never touch her," I spat. My voice cracked, but my fury carried it. The sirens screeched closer, lights flooding the lot. 2 police cruisers fishtailed into view, tires spraying water. Officers jumped out, weapons drawn. "Hands where we can see them," one shouted. For the first time, fear flickered in the suited man's eyes. He raised his hands slowly, but his smirk returned, chilling in its certainty. "Careful, officers. You're meddling in affairs above your pay grade." My ex yanked open the car door, dragging our daughter out as a shield. "Back off," he screamed, pressing his body against hers. She kicked, tears streaking her face, her stuffed rabbit limp in her fist. Every muscle in me screamed to move, to tear her free, but the officers froze, guns trained on the chaos. One wrong twitch and they'd fire. The suited man's gaze slid to me, steady and knowing, even as red dots from police lasers danced across his chest. "You brought them here," he said softly. "And now, blood will answer for it." His words barely landed before a single shot cracked the night. My daughter screamed, my ex stumbled, and the world shattered in an instant of gunfire and rain. The gunshot tore the storm in half. For one heartbeat, I thought the bullet had found my daughter. Her scream cut me open, but then I saw. She was still standing, shaking, eyes wide. My ex-husband staggered backward, clutching his shoulder, blood blooming through his shirt like dark roses. The officers shouted commands, their voices colliding with the thunder. "Drop the weapon. Hands up." The suited man didn't move. Calm as stone, he lowered his pistol and placed it on the wet asphalt, his smirk unbroken. My daughter broke free from her father's weakening grip, bolting toward me. I caught her, pulled her against me so tightly I could feel her heartbeat hammering through her ribs. I buried my face in her soaked hair, whispering, "I've got you. I've got you." But it wasn't over. My ex, pale and trembling, dropped to his knees, his voice ragged with desperation. "Don't trust them," he croaked, blood dripping onto the pavement. "The cops, some of them work for him. They all do. That's why His words dissolved into a wet cough. The officers dragged him down, pressing his face to the ground. One of them glanced at the suited man and gave the tiniest nod. My stomach turned to ice. My ex wasn't lying. The suited man looked straight at me as the rain sluiced down his face. "This doesn't end here," he said. "Not to the police. Not to my ex. To me. Only me." Then, almost casually, he lifted his cuffed hands to his lips and whistled. The driver of the black car slammed on the gas, tires shrieking as the vehicle tore through the lot. In the chaos, the suited man dove sideways, rolled, and was gone, swallowed by the night like smoke in the rain. The police shouted, scattered, chasing shadows. My ex screamed as they hauled him into the cruiser, his eyes wild, blood on his teeth. "You don't understand. He owns all of it. He owns you." I held my daughter tighter, fighting the urge to collapse. The flash drive in my bag felt like it was burning through the fabric. Proof. Leverage. Maybe even a weapon. But as I clutched my girl and scanned the storm of sirens and chaos, one thought pierced clearer than lightning. This wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. And someone, somewhere, was already waiting for me to make my next move. The rain slowed to a cold drizzle, but the chaos around me didn't. Officers barked orders, radios screeched, and my ex-husband howled curses from the back of a cruiser. My daughter trembled in my arms, her tears soaking into my shoulder, the stuffed rabbit clutched between us like a fragile shield. An officer approached, his badge gleaming under the floodlights. "Ma'am, we need to take your statement. Please, come with us." His eyes lingered on my bag, the bag with the flash drive. Too long. Too intent. I stepped back. "My daughter needs to go home. She's freezing." He forced a smile, thin as a blade. "Of course. We'll get her warmed up at the station. Every instinct screamed no. My ex's words echoed in my head. Some of them worked for him. The suited man might have escaped, but his reach was still here. I pulled my daughter tighter. We're not going anywhere tonight. The officer's smile faltered. He opened his mouth to argue, but another figure intervened. A woman in plain clothes, raincoat plastered to her body. She flashed a badge I didn't recognize. Federal. I'll take it from here, she said firmly. The officer stiffened, then retreated without a word. She lowered her voice. You're not safe. Not here, not at the station. If you have what I think you have, you need to leave. Now. I studied her face, searching for cracks. But her eyes, sharp, tired, resolute, held something rare, truth. Why should I trust you? I whispered. Because they'll come for you before dawn, she said. And next time, they won't miss. A fresh wave of sirens wailed in the distance. Backup, or reinforcements for him. I couldn't tell which. The woman glanced over her shoulder. Go. Take your daughter. Find a place off the grid. When you're ready, use that drive. Expose them all. She pressed a card into my palm. A single number. No name. I didn't thank her. I just ran, clutching my daughter and the drive like lifelines. My mother's house wasn't safe. The city wasn't safe. As I sped through empty streets, rain streaking across the windshield, my daughter stirred against me. Mommy, she whispered, voice raw. Why is Daddy so bad? My throat tightened. Because he forgot who we were, I said. But I never will. In the rearview mirror, headlights appeared. Not close. Not chasing. Just following, steady, patient, inevitable. And I knew. The storm hadn't passed. It was circling back, darker than ever. The headlights stalked me for miles, unwavering in the mirror. Every turn I made, they followed. My daughter slept fitfully in the back seat, rabbit crushed against her chest. I gripped the wheel until my knuckles ached, torn between flight and fight. Finally, I veered off the main road, cutting down a dirt path that twisted into the woods. Branches clawed at the car, mud splattering up the sides. The headlights followed for a stretch, then vanished. The sudden darkness felt worse, like an eye closing after watching too long. I killed the engine, heart hammering in the silence. My daughter stirred but didn't wake. I brushed damp hair from her forehead, whispering, almost safe. Just hold on. But I knew safety was a lie I had to tell both of us. The flash drive sat heavy in my pocket, burning like a fuse. Inside it lay the truth, names, accounts, proof of a network that fed on families like mine. Proof that could topple men who thought themselves untouchable. Proof that had already ruined us all. I thought of my ex-husband bleeding in the back of that cruiser, screaming about ownership, about power. He was a traitor, yes, but also a pawn. And pawns are expendable. They would erase him soon. Then they'd come for me. For her. I stepped out into the night, rain dripping from the trees. For the first time in weeks, I felt something sharp and clean-cut through the fear, resolve. They wanted obedience. They wanted silence. They'd get neither. I pulled out the federal agent's card, the number etched into its surface like a promise. Tomorrow, I'd decide whether to trust it, or whether to go public myself. Either way, the world would know who these men really were. Behind me, my daughter's soft breathing was the only sound of peace left in my shattered life. I swore to her, to myself, to everything I'd lost. I won't run anymore. I'll end this. Lightning forked across the sky, illuminating the trees. For a split second, I thought I saw him. The suited man, standing just beyond the headlights' ghostly memory, umbrella in hand, smile razor sharp. Then the darkness swallowed him again. And I knew the war had only just begun.